Now we'll see examples where we're asked to find the equation of the line, and we'll be given, different attributes, different hints about what we're looking for in this line. And when we're doing this, when you see those instructions, that's your tip-off that you should be using your point slope form. So y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. Let's check this. Okay. All right, so for number 2, we want to find the equation of the line that passes through 2, negative 4. So there's our point. And we want our line to be parallel to a line with a slope of negative 3. So you'll see as you're working these out, a good first step is to find your slope if it's not already given. Sometimes the problem just says, hey, your slope is 2, and then you use 2. But pretty often you'll just be given hints or clues about what the slope is, and you need to calculate it yourself. So in this case, we want our slope to be parallel, or we want our line to be parallel to a line with a slope of negative 3. So that means our parallel slope will still be that same negative 3. All right, our next step then is to use that point slope form. So plug in what we've got. So in this case, it'll be y minus negative 4 equals my slope of negative 3 times x minus 2. And I'll go ahead and simplify on the left. That double negative is y plus 4. And then I'll go ahead and distribute on the right to get negative 3x plus 6. All right, and then our final step, we want to pay attention to whatever final form is asked for. So we'll, simplify that point slope form, and we'll rewrite it in whatever final form we're asked. So in this question, they say, write your equation in general form. So as a reminder, your general form, I'm gonna erase this little arrow because it looks like I'm pointing there. Your general form is ax plus by plus c equals 0. So for general form, we want to get all of our terms on one side of the equation and set equal to 0. So in this case, I can go ahead and add 3x and subtract 6 from both sides. This gives me 3x plus y minus 2 equals 0. And there's my equation in general form. All right, in the next example, now we want the equation of the line that passes through negative 4, 2. So there's our slope, and is perpendicular to a line with a slope of 1/3. So now I need to calculate my perpendicular slope. If the other line has a slope of positive 1/3, my perpendicular slope is going to be negative reciprocal. So negative, and then if I flip 1/3 over, I get 3/1, also known as 3. So my perpendicular slope will be negative 3. So now I'm going to plug this into point slope. Y minus 2 equals my perpendicular slope of negative 3 times x minus negative 4. I'm going to fix that double negative also. Y minus 2 equals negative 3 times x plus 4. And now I'll go ahead and distribute on the right side. So y minus 2 equals negative 3x minus 12. And this one tells me to write my final answer in slope-intercept form. So that means I'm looking for y equals mx plus b. So now instead of moving all of my terms to one side of the equation, now my goal is to isolate my y. So I'm just going to add 2 to both sides. And this gives me y equals negative 3x minus 10. Okay. And by the way, if you just mess up that last step, if it asks for general form and you go to slope-intercept form or vice versa, it's really easy to move back and forth between the two. So for example, if I wanted number 3 in general form instead, I would just take those two terms on the right and move them over to the left. So I would end up with positive 3x plus y, positive 10 equals 0. So there's general form. I'm just kind of rearranging the furniture, just moving those terms to the left. And also for number 2, if I wanted that in slope-intercept form, instead, let's say I messed up and it was supposed to be in slope-intercept form and I solved it and got general form, I would just have to isolate y, so I would end up with y equals negative 3x plus 2. Okay, those aren't the correct answers in this case, but just be aware that if you mess up and you get that wrong form, it's really easy to go back and forth. So you don't need to redo the whole entire question. You can just make the switch at the very end. All right, so for number 4, find the equation of the line that passes through negative 1, 3 and is parallel to the equation x minus y equals 5. So I want to find the slope of this equation, and then that will also be my parallel slope. So in order to do that, I need to solve this for y. So first I would have negative y equals negative x plus 5, divide all the way across by negative 1, and we end up with y equals positive x minus 5. So this tells me that my slope is going to be positive 1. The slope of this initial line is 1. That means my parallel slope will also be equal to that at positive 1. So now I'm ready to use my point slope form. Y minus 3 equals my slope of 1 times x minus negative 1. And I'll fix that double negative on the right-hand side. Change that to x plus 1. Distribute 1 on the right, so I just have y minus 3 equals x plus 1. And then for my final answer, I want slope-intercept form. So my final step is just to add 3 to both sides. So y equals x plus 4. And for number 5, now I want to find the equation of the line that passes through 2, 0 and is perpendicular to this equation here. So first I need to find the slope of this equation. Whatever that slope is, my perpendicular slope will be the negative reciprocal of that. So first I'm going to solve this equation for y. So I'll subtract 2x from both sides, divide all the way across by negative 3. I get y equals 2/3 x minus 4. So the slope of that line is positive 2/3. My perpendicular slope is going to be negative 3/2. So I'm going to be using the perpendicular slope negative 3/2. Their original slope is positive 2/3. My perpendicular slope is negative 3/2. Back in number 4, the slope of the original line was 1. The slope of my line was 1 because our lines were parallel. In number 5, my lines are perpendicular, so that's why I'm switching to the negative reciprocal slope. All right, so y minus 0 equals negative 3/2 x minus 2. Can simplify that left side just to y equals, and then if I distribute, it gives me negative 3/2 x. Negative times negative is positive, and then my negative 3/2 times negative 2, the 2's will cancel, and I just get a plus 3. So wouldn't that be nice if I were going for slope-intercept form? Because then I'd be done. But in this case, they want general form. So let's keep going. I'll move my terms over to the left, plus 3x squared, or sorry, just plus 3/2 x, is what I meant to say, and then minus 3. So we have 3/2 x plus y minus 3 equals 0. And one other little formatting change, you'll see that whenever a final answer is given in general form, it's customary to clear out the fractions just to make it look a little prettier. So we can multiply all the way across by 2. This leaves me with 3x, because I had that denominator of 2, plus 2y minus 6 equals 0. So there's my final answer in general form.